The chocolate cake sat perfectly centered on the dining table, 24 candles flickering in the afternoon light. My son bounced excitedly near the presents, his friends gathered around, waiting for the moment. I had spent 3 days planning this party, every detail considered, every game prepared. The backyard was transformed with streamers in his favorite colors. A bounce house stood ready in the corner, and goodie bags lined the gift table with military precision. 12 children and their parents filled our small rental house with energy and noise. I had planned for 15, prepared food for 20, and somehow it all worked. The schedule was running perfectly. Games at 2, cake at 3, presents at 3:30. Everything aligned. My sister arrived late as usual, her expression tight with the same frustration she had carried for years. She walked past the decorations without comment, brushed by the welcome table I had set up, dropped a hastily wrapped gift on the table, and immediately found something to criticize. "The balloons are crooked," she muttered, loud enough for the other parents to hear. "And is that store-bought lemonade?" I adjusted the balloons without responding, then refilled the lemonade pitcher I had made from scratch that morning. This was my son's day and nothing would ruin it. Not her comments, not her perpetual disappointment, not the familiar weight of her judgment. The party progressed smoothly. Kids played games in the backyard, parents chatted over coffee, and my son laughed with the pure joy only a 6-year-old knows. I moved between groups, refilling drinks and ensuring everyone had what they needed. When cake time arrived, I carefully lifted the chocolate masterpiece and began cutting perfect slices. The children gathered around, their excitement building. I had just placed the first piece on a plate when my sister's voice cut through the happy chatter. "You ruin every family event," she yelled, loud enough that conversations stopped. Parents turned to look. Children froze mid-reach for their cake. Just like Mom did. The comparisons stung. Our mother had died 3 years ago, and my sister had never forgiven her for things I barely understood. Missed recitals, forgotten promises, a childhood spent feeling second best. Now she was lumping me into that same category of disappointment, as if I carried our mother's failures in my DNA. I set down the cake knife and nodded quietly. "Understood. Always playing the victim," she continued, her voice rising with years of accumulated resentment. "Always making everything about you. Even your own son's birthday has to be some performance of how perfect you are. Look at this whole setup, like you're trying to prove something to everyone." She gestured at the decorations, the carefully arranged food table, the activities I had planned. Everything I had done with love was being reframed as performance, as inadequacy dressed up as effort. The other parents exchanged uncomfortable glances. One mother gathered her child and murmured something about needing to leave early. Another checked her watch pointedly. My son's face crumpled with confusion, his special day suddenly tainted with adult tension he could not possibly understand. My sister's phone buzzed. She glanced at it dismissively, ready to continue her tirade, then did a double take. Her face went pale. Her hands started shaking as she read the screen once, then again as if the words might rearrange themselves into something that made sense. "Regarding your job application," she read aloud in a whisper, then louder, her voice cracking, "meet your new supervisor." She looked up at me, her eyes wide with realization. This can't be right. I continued serving cake to the children, keeping my voice level and focused on the task at hand. "Vanilla or chocolate, sweetheart?" "You," she stammered, her body language shifting from aggressive to uncertain. "You're the department director at Riverside Tech?" One of the other mothers whom I recognized from school pickups spoke up. "Wait, you're the director who just restructured the entire engineering division? My husband works there and mentions you constantly." Another parent chimed in, pulling out her phone. "I just read an article about Riverside's innovation program. Weren't you quoted in Tech Weekly last month about artificial intelligence integration?" My sister's phone rang. She answered it automatically, her voice shaky. "Hello." I could hear the tinny voice on the other end. "Miss Peterson? This is Margaret from Human Resources at Riverside Tech. We wanted to confirm your Monday interview with Director Williams. She'll be conducting the final interview personally." My sister's eyes remained locked on mine. "Director Williams," she repeated. "Yes, she specifically requested to meet all senior developer candidates. She's very thorough. We'll see you at 9 sharp." Yes. Thank you." She ended the call. The party had gone quiet. My son tugged my sleeve. Mommy, who's Director Williams? That's me, sweetie. It's my work name. Now, do you want the corner piece with extra frosting? His face lit up again, the crisis forgotten. The other children returned to their cake and gradually the party noise resumed. My sister remained frozen near the doorway. Another mother approached her. You applied to Riverside? My neighbor just got hired there. She says the benefits are incredible but the interview process is intense. Apparently, the director personally vets everyone. How long have you been there? My sister asked me, her voice barely audible. 4 years. I started as a senior engineer, moved to team lead after 18 months, and took over the department 2 years ago. But you always said you worked in tech support. You assumed I worked in tech support, I corrected gently. I said I worked in technology. You never asked for details. A colleague from work, dropping off her daughter, overheard the conversation. Wait, this is your sister? The one you mentioned during the leadership retreat. I shot her a look, but she continued enthusiastically. You should be so proud. She just secured a $12 million contract with the aerospace division. The CEO personally called to congratulate her. My sister sat down heavily in one of the folding chairs. 12 million. The party isn't really the place, I started, but my colleague was already pulling out her phone. Look, it was in the company newsletter. Director Williams leads team to record-breaking quarter. There's your picture and everything. He showed my sister the screen. There I was, standing with the executive team accepting an award for innovation in systems architecture. I don't understand, my sister whispered. You drive a 10-year-old sedan. You live in this tiny rental house. You never talk about work. I drive a reliable car because I don't care about impressing people. I live here because it's close to good schools and my son's friends. And I don't talk about work because family time isn't about job titles. Another parent, overhearing, added their own observation. I thought everyone knew. My wife's company tried to recruit her last year. They offered a huge signing bonus but she turned it down. Said she liked her team too much to leave. My sister's phone buzzed again. Another email. Then another. Her face grew increasingly pale as she read them. They're sending me the interview packet, she said quietly. Background on the department leadership. Your bio is here. MIT graduate. Published researcher. Forbes 30 under 32 years ago. She looked up. How did I not know any of this? You never asked. Every time I tried to talk about work, you'd change the subject or make a comment about how boring technology is. Remember Thanksgiving 2 years ago? I started to explain a project I was leading, and you interrupted to say that computer stuff was too complicated for normal people to understand. At Dad's birthday last year when I mentioned a promotion, you said something about how nice it must be to have such low-pressure work. My sister's face flushed. I didn't mean. And at Christmas when Dad asked about my job I said I managed engineering projects and had a team of 30 people reporting to me. You talked over me to discuss your job search. You've been talking over me for years. But at Christmas when Dad asked what you did you said. I said I managed engineering projects. That's accurate. You interrupted to talk about your own job search and how difficult the market was. The party was winding down. Parents collected their children, thanking me for a lovely afternoon. Several mentioned they'd heard great things about Riverside Tech and asked if we were hiring. I handed out my business cards to 2 who had relevant experience. After the last guest left, my son went to play with his new toys. My sister remained at the table staring at her phone. The position I applied for, she said slowly, reports directly to you. Senior Developer Platform Architecture Team. Yes. And you'll be interviewing me. Along with 2 of my team leads and the HR director. It's a standard process. She set her phone down carefully. After what I just did. After what I said in front of everyone. Your interview will be evaluated on your technical skills, experience and cultural fit with the team, same as everyone else. You're not going to reject me because of today? I met her eyes. I'm going to evaluate you as a candidate, not as my sister. If you're qualified and you can work effectively with the team, you'll be considered fairly. If you're not qualified or if your behavior suggests you won't collaborate well, you won't be hired. That's how I run my department. I called you a failure. For years. At every family gathering I made comments about your life choices, your career, your parenting. Yes, you did. And you never corrected me. Would you have believed me if I had? I started clearing paper plates and cups. Every time I tried to share anything about my work, you either dismissed it or turned the conversation back to yourself. It was easier to just let you think whatever you wanted to think. She helped gather napkins, moving mechanically. Dad thinks you work in customer service. I know. I stopped correcting him after the 5th time he forgot. He brags about me getting interviews at big companies. He has no idea you run a department at one of the biggest tech firms in the region. He's proud of you. That's good. But he should be proud of you. I tied up a garbage bag. I don't need Dad's pride. I have a job I love, a son I adore, and a team that respects me. That's enough. My sister was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, the interview on Monday. Should I still come? Do you want the job? I need it. My current company is downsizing. They've already let go of 15 people in my department. I've been interviewing for 3 months with no offers. Every rejection chips away a little more. I'm 2 months behind on rent. My car payment is overdue. This job, it's not just want, it's survival. And now I find out my sister, the one I've spent years dismissing, is the gatekeeper. The vulnerability in her voice was unfamiliar. We had not spoken honestly in years, maybe ever. Then prepare like you would for any interview, I said firmly. Review the job requirements. Study our recent projects. They're all public on our website. Be ready to discuss your experience with platform architecture and scalable systems. Refresh your knowledge of cloud infrastructure. We use primarily containerized deployments. The interview starts at 9. Don't be late. We have 5 candidates scheduled and we respect everyone's time. And you'll be fair? I'm always fair. That's why my team works. She picked up her purse, then paused at the door. I'm sorry. For today. For everything. Apologies are nice. Changed behavior is better. If you get this job, you'll need to work with people you might have underestimated. You'll need to respect expertise even when it comes from unexpected places. Can you do that? She nodded slowly. I can try. Then I'll see you Monday at 9. After she left, I found my son in his room building with his new blocks. He looked up with a smile. Did you have a good birthday? I asked. The best. Even though Aunt got weird about the cake. Sometimes adults have complicated feelings. It's not about you. I know. You always say family is complicated. He returned to his blocks. Mommy, what's a director? It means I help people do their jobs well. I make sure everyone has what they need to succeed. Like how you made sure everyone at my party had cake? I smiled. Exactly like that. Monday morning, I arrived at the office early and reviewed the interview schedule. My sister's name was 3rd on the list. I had already read her resume and technical assessment. Her skills were solid, her experience relevant. If she could demonstrate the right attitude and collaboration ability, she would be an asset to the team. Margaret from HR stopped by my office. Ready for today's interviews? Always. Any concerns? The 3rd candidate. I noticed she has the same last name. My sister. I disclosed the relationship when her application came through. If there's any conflict, I can recuse myself from the decision. No, I trust your judgment. Just wanted to confirm you're comfortable with it. I'm comfortable evaluating her fairly. That's all any candidate can ask for. At 9 sharp, my sister arrived. She wore a professional suit, carried a portfolio, and looked nervous but prepared. I greeted her in the conference room along with my 2 team leads. For the next 90 minutes, we put her through the standard interview process. Technical questions about system architecture, database optimization, and security protocols. Problem-solving scenarios where we presented real challenges our team had faced. Team collaboration examples from her previous positions. She answered thoughtfully, admitted when she didn't know something rather than bluffing, and demonstrated genuine curiosity about our projects. She asked intelligent questions about our development pipeline, our code review process, and our approach to technical debt. When we presented a whiteboard problem involving load balancing across distributed systems, she worked through it methodically. Her solution was not the most elegant I had seen, but it was solid and showed a good understanding of fundamentals. She explained her reasoning clearly, responded well to challenging questions, and acknowledged alternative approaches when my team leads suggested them. She was good. Not exceptional but solid and coachable. Exactly the kind of senior developer we needed. Someone with experience who could also grow with the team. After she left, my team leads and I compared notes. Strong technical foundation, one said. Needs some updating on newer frameworks, but that's trainable. Good communication skills, the other added. Seemed genuinely interested in learning. I think she'd fit well with the team culture. I nodded. Then we're agreed. Make the offer. 3 days later, my sister accepted the position. She started the following Monday, joining the team as one of 8 senior developers. I treated her exactly as I treated everyone else, with clear expectations and fair evaluation. At our first family dinner after she started, my father asked how her new job was going. It's challenging, she said. My supervisor has high standards. That's good. Keeps you sharp. She glanced at me across the table. Yes, she does. I raised my glass slightly in acknowledgement and continued eating. There was nothing more that needed to be said.